Today I want to show you how I created 5 fun fold gift card holder cards. And I've used Christmas paper with mine, but you could use any theme you wanted. You could make them birthday cards or whatever theme that you wanted. So welcome to my channel, Making Crafts, and let's go ahead and get started on these cards today. And I hope that you enjoyed today's video. And if you do, don't forget to hit the like button, the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. So for the first card, you want a piece of paper that measures 8.5 by 11, and I'm just going to cut it down the center at 5.5. We're just doing it like you normally do for a A2 size card. Then I'm going to put the paper back in my paper trimmer with the 8.5 inch side to the top, and I want to cut at 4.25, but I don't want to cut all the way down the paper. What I want to do is I want to cut from the top of my card down to 2 3/4 of an inch and then stop. So we want to leave this piece intact. We're just going to be cutting the top of the half portion, if that makes sense. Then I'm going to put my paper in our scoreboard with the 5.5 inch side to the top and the cut portion to the left side. And then I'm going to score at 2 3/4 of an inch. And we're only going to score down to that cut line. We're not going to score all the way down our card, just down to the cut line. So now this one's pretty simple to fold. So we want to fold it in half just like we do any A2 size card. So I want to keep that cut portion to the top of my card, and so I'm just going to fold it in half. Then we're going to take that piece where we scored and cut, and we're going to fold it to the outside of our card. We're going to fold it down, and this is creating a pocket for our gift card. So I'm going to be using the Mintay White Christmas cardstock, and I've used most of this up. I just have a few sheets left, so I'm trying to get rid of this paper pack today. It's kind of sad to get rid of it because it's my favorite paper, but it's just laying around with a few sheets, so I'm going to create enough cards to use up the paper today. So I want to start out by cutting all of my pieces for this card, and before we glue the pocket together, what I want to do is I want to cut a little half circle, little thumb hole there in our card base, but you want to look at it and make sure you cut it at the right spot. So you want to open up your pocket that we folded down, and then you want to leave that out of the way, and we're just going to clip in the half circle here at the bottom of the card base. So the little flap that I told you is going to be the pocket, be sure that that's up out of the way. And then I've decided that the other size that I was going to use was too big, so I'm just going to bring in a smaller circle punch and just punch out this hole. Now, if you don't have a punch, you could always run it through your die cutting machine and just lay your die halfway on it as well. But I love my circle punches. They were a great investment. I've had them for years, and they're great for little projects like this. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to 2 sides of that flap, and then we're going to glue it down. So we're gluing the back side and the bottom side so that we are creating a pocket. So I've gone ahead and cut the paper for this. For the inside of my card, I've cut a piece of paper that measures 4 by 5.25. And that is just white cardstock that I'm going to put on the inside of my card first. And then for the next decorative piece that's going to go on the inside of the card here, I cut that at 2 7/8 by 4. We want the white paper to frame it out just a little bit. And then for the next piece of paper, it's a piece of white paper, and I've cut it to 4.25 by 2.5. And I want to make sure that I line up the edges of this white paper with the white paper above it so that nothing looks wonky. You want to make sure you line your papers up each time you glue them down. Now this piece measures 4 by 2.25. And so I'm just going to attach it inside of the white paper. And it's really that simple. You have your card. So now all I'm going to do is decorate it up. And so this paper pack, I have ephemera pieces with it, but I also have another paper pack from Mintay where you can cut out Christmas ephemera. So that's what I've done. I've cut out a lot of ephemera as well, and I'm just going to use it to embellish my card. I cut this little banner and I stamped Merry Christmas using a holiday owl stamp from Not Too Shabby Shop, and then this is a piece of the ephemera that I cut out. And so it's really easy to put together. I think it looks beautiful, and I love how it can hold your gift cards, and most gift cards are the same size. Now, I think it would be nice to have a Christmas themed card in there, but I'm creating these too early in the season, so I'm not sure that I could find a Christmas themed gift card at this time. Okay, so now we have our piece of cardstock that was left over from where we cut our cardstock before, and we're going to cut that in half at 4 1/4. And then we have a piece of white cardstock that measures 8 1/2 by 11. We're going to put the 8 1/2 side in our paper trimmer, and we're going to cut it down the middle at 4 1/4. Then we're going to take one of those strips, set the other one aside, we'll use it later. We're going to put it in our paper trimmer, and we're going to cut it down at 9 3/4. So it measures 4 1/4 by 9 3/4. We're then going to score that piece with a 9 3/4 inch side to the top of our scoreboard. We're going to score at 3 1/4 and 6 1/2. So I got started and did not realize the camera was not on. So I've gone ahead and started gluing some of my cardstock on, but I'm going to glue this piece down, and then I will show you since the glue was already on it, I need to finish it, and then I'll show you what we need to do. So this is the piece that we scored at 3 1/4 and 6 1/2. So we have our card base. This is the red piece that measured 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And so I've gone ahead and added a piece of cardstock to it that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And so I've just attached that to the red cardstock. Then I've gone ahead and I've folded up my paper that we scored. So what you want to do is we're just going to do an accordion fold. So I just take my cardstock, and at the first fold, I'm going to fold towards the bottom of the cardstock, and then we'll just fold backwards. So when you do that, you have a Z fold. So when you open it up, see the Z there? That's what you want to be sure you have. So I've gone ahead and added a piece of paper that measures 3 by 4. And then I'm going to add a piece of solid paper that measures 3 by 4. So you're going to need a total of 4 pieces that measure 3 by 4. And then you'll need 1 piece that measures 2 by 4. I decided to use a solid piece here. You could use a decorative piece, but I decided to use a solid piece because I can stamp my sentiment, or I can also write my message there to, from the to and from, or, just leaving a little note for whoever I'm giving this to. So I'm just adding the 2 of them to the top there, and then here at the bottom, this is where our pocket's going to be. So you want to take the pocket, and what I've done, I've gone ahead and hole punched the 2 by 4 pocket. I just added another little notch in the top of it, and then you want to add a thin line of glue to the 2 sides and the bottom. Now you want to keep it thin because if you make your pocket too tight, if you use too much glue, your gift card wouldn't fit in it. So be sure to just use a thin line of glue, and then we're just going to attach that to the bottom of our white cardstock here. Now I am leaving a border at the bottom about the same amount that's on each side of the cardstock. I just like the white to frame it out. And there we have the pocket for our gift cards. We're just going to flip it over now, and we're going to add the other 2 pieces of the 3 by 4 paper to the back here. Now you don't need to add any at the very bottom there because that's going to be glued down. We just want to cover everything that's going to be seen. So once we have our pieces on, now we just want to attach this to our card base. So when you're attaching it, you want to be sure that you center it on your card base, but you also want to be sure that you put it on correctly so that your pocket is not upside down. Especially if your background paper is directional, you want to be sure that you glue your pocket on so that it's going the right direction so that it's not upside down. And so then you're just going to attach this to the center of your card base. These come together very quickly. I had a lot of fun creating these, and There's many more ways that you can create gift card holders for a card, but I tried to choose some that I thought was going to be a lot of fun to create. So there is our card. So now let's just go ahead and decorate it up. So I went ahead and used my stitched rectangle die to cut out a small little rectangle, and then I've stamped it with the Merry Christmas, the same sentiment as the first card. And then from my ephemera book from Mintay, I cut out this little poinsettia as well as the Santa Claus, and I think he's absolutely adorable. Now this ephemera book is from years ago, but I will list it below in case you can find it somewhere. I'm not sure if it's still available. Well, I really love how this card turned out. I like how interactive it is, and I think it's a lot of fun way. I think it's a fun way to give a gift card. Now for the next card, we're going to use another sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. We're going to put the 8.5 inch side to the top of our paper trimmer, and then we're going to cut at 4 1/4. So we're just cutting it down the middle. So then we want to score, and we're going to put the 11 inch side in our scoreboard, and we're going to score at 2 1/4, and then again at 5 1/2. And this one is really simple, but a fun card to do. So now I want to just cut a little notch like we've been doing before in the end here, and this is the 2 1/2 inch rectangle on this piece. I'm just going to cut the notch in that, and then I'm going to fold it inwards to the inside of my card, and then I'll fold that again at the 5 1/2 inch mark, and there is our card base. So you can see here we've created another pocket. So I've gone ahead and cut out the paper for this card, and I've cut a sheet of paper that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and then I've cut 2 more pieces of the decorative paper, but I'm going to give you those measurements when I'm gluing them on so you could get an idea when you cut yours where it goes. Because what I did was I used one of the seams for mine and cut it so that when you close the card you can still see some of the seam from the paper. So for this piece is going to go on the inside of our card, so it measures 2 1/2 by 4. And I'm just going to put that on the right hand side here so that when we close our card up we have an image that you can see, and then on the left hand side you can stamp your sentiment or write a note to the recipient. So for our pocket we're just going to add a thin line of glue to each side of our little flap here, and then we're just going to press it down. And then for our front piece, that piece measures 3 by 4. And so I thought it looked really good to have the whole scene, but once I add my decoration, I'm not sure that you could even see that the scene went together, but that was the plan when I cut the paper. So I've been going through my dies lately and just pulling out old dies that I've had that I just don't use enough. So for this one, I went ahead and what I did was I cut out the scalloped circle and a regular circle, and I stacked those on each other, and then I added those ephemera pieces around on the front to decorate it up. But you can decorate yours however you want, so I'm going to kind of speed up this video and not show all of the decorating just so that it doesn't take so long to create these cards. So for the next card we need another sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and we're going to put the 8.5 inch side to the top of our paper trimmer, and then we're going to cut at 4 1/4. So this is once again just cutting it down the middle. For this one we do need to do a little bit of scoring again, so I'm going to bring out my scoreboard, and I'm going to put the 11 inch side to the top of my scoreboard, and then I'm going to score at 1 1/2, and then again at 7. And so we're going to fold this one kind of like a gatefold. So we're going to fold that 1 1/2 inch rectangle in towards the center, and then the at the 7 inch score line we're going to fold that in towards the center as well. So it's kind of like a gatefold, but it's going to be a little different once we get done with it. So then I've gone ahead and cut my decorative paper. So I've cut this piece to 3 3/4 by 4, and then this one is 1 1/4 by 4. And then this one is 1 inch by 4 1/4. And I've also got my little ephemera piece that I've cut out. So I'm just going to add my cardstock to my card base. So what I want to do is I cut these so that I can center them up and have a little bit of that white border around the edge. I like having a border around my paper most of the time on my cards. So you'll see that I always cut everything about 1/4 of an inch smaller. So it's really important here to make sure your pieces line up from the top and bottom so that it doesn't look wonky. So really pay attention to lining those edges up. And then we're just going to come back on that bottom flap, add a little bit of glue on both sides, and then we're just going to close that up, and that's going to be our pocket. Now I'm not going to cut a thumb hole in this one because of the look on the outside. I want to have that continuous card look on the outside, so I'm not going to have that thumb hole there just in case it would show. So now this strip that we cut that measures 1 by 4 1/4, we're going to bring that down to the bottom, but we're not going to line it up with the bottom of that flap. We're going to make it hang over. So what I'm trying to do is even it up halfway on the top flap and halfway on the bottom flap. So then I'm going to add a little glue only to the top part of my cardstock, and then I'm going to add that to my card base. But what you want to do is just open your card base up and look on the back side and make sure that everything is lined up straight. So mine has a plaid kind of look on the back, so that helps me to line those up with those little squares, but just try to get it lined up straight so that when you open the card, it looks good as well. And I liked that it had that it was double-sided paper. I'm sure it would look okay with single-sided paper, but I like that when you opened it up, you saw that blue. Now I'm just keeping it simple. I'm just going to add this poinsettia that I cut out from the Ephemera book, and I am just going to just press down a little bit on all that so everything lays down. And then when you open it up, you have your pocket, and you can add your sentiment or write a message inside. So this one is very quick and simple. And so here I'm just going to add a little Santa Claus because I thought it was a little plain on the inside where it was just so much white. But you don't have to add this. I just thought it would be fun. Well, this one came together really quickly, and I love how it looks. This would be a great one for a last-minute card. If you wait to the last minute to create your cards, or you need a last-minute gift card holder, this one would be perfect. So I really think it's pretty though, and I love how it turned out. So for our next card, I'm going ahead and pulling out that white strip that we had left over from before. And I'm just going to put it in my paper trimmer. Now this card is going to be very similar to one of the cards we did at the beginning. It's just going to be a different direction, and because it's a different direction, we are going to have to cut it different and score it different. So I have a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of paper, and I'm going to cut it down to 9 inches. So it's going to be 4 1/4 by 9. So then I'm going to put it in my scoreboard with the 9 inch side to the top, and I'm going to score at 3 and again at 6. And I've gone ahead and cut all of the paper for this one, and I went ahead and stamped this one. So you can see my score lines, and then I stamped on the rectangle to the farthest right if you want to follow along and you do the same thing that I'm doing. I also have a piece of that red that was left over from before that measures 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. Then I've gone ahead and cut several pieces of decorative paper, and for this one it measures 2 1/4 by 2 3/4, and so I'm just going to be clipping it on the 2 3/4 inch side. So that's going to be my pocket. And so then for this piece of decorative paper, I've cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4, and the red cardstock there is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that was the piece, like I said before, when we cut our paper at the beginning, that was one of the pieces that was left over. So what I did for this one is I went through all of the scrap pieces that I had left from all of the other cards, and I had to decide what I was going to make with it because I wanted to use up my paper, but I didn't have much left. So this is what I found. So this is what we're creating. So once I am just going ahead and you can see me flapping that. That's because I'm trying to make sure that that ink is dry, because sometimes ink on white cardstock doesn't dry really fast. So I want to make sure it doesn't smear. So then I'm just going to take and fold it over and then back. So once again, we're making a Z fold like we did before. So you're just going to fold on one line over and then fold back on the next. Hopefully that makes sense. Now when I folded mine, I don't know, maybe I folded wrong, or maybe I just didn't cut everything exactly right. So you can see there was a little bit of edge that was off. All I'm going to do is just line that up correctly and then just press really good with my pressing tool. It seems to line up fine. So maybe when I folded it over, I didn't fold as perfectly as I should. So don't get discouraged if you have something like that. Just work with it, and most of the time you can make it work. Plus, these are handmade cards, so they don't have to be perfect. So this piece measures 2 3/4 by 4, and you will need 3 pieces that measure 2 3/4 by 4. We're just going to do like we did before. We're going to cover a lot of the white space. You could use solid cardstock if you wanted to write a lot of message, a large message in this one, but I'm just going to use all of my decorative paper to cover it up. So when you open it up here, this is where our pocket's going to go. So once again, we're just going to add a thin line of glue on 3 sides, the 2 sides and the bottom, because we have our little thumb hole at the top of our paper. And so once again, this one measured 2 3/4 by 2, and I clipped it on the 2 3/4 inch side. So you can see that you're putting it in there. All of the measurements, it's 2 3/4 inch wide. I guess that's how I should say for each of these rectangles. So then I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm going to add paper to these last 2 sections of the card, but don't worry about, once again, adding it to that, over to the far left there, that last piece, that's going to be glued down. So we're not going to worry about adding decorative paper there. And I pretty much used up this paper pack, but this has been my favorite paper pack. But I did look, and Mintay has last year had one called, I think, I may be getting them backwards, but Merry and Joy, I think is what it was called. And it has similar colors. So I did find a deal on some. So I ordered that. Hopefully it's going to come in. And then this year they have, I think it's called Holly Jolly, and it's red and white and colors like this as well. I probably will use the Merry and Joy this year. And then if I need more, I may go back and order the Holly Jolly. I'm trying to craft on a budget, so I really wanted to order it all, but I have to craft on a budget, so I had to choose between the 2. And since I got such a good deal on the Merry and Joy from last year, that's the one that I ordered to use some this year. So now I'm just going to add this to the center of my card base. And you can see last time we had more of a landscape card. This time it's more of a portrait card. So it's up, up and down. So it's pretty much the same thing, but the measurements are different. So that's why I wanted to show you how to make this one. Plus this one worked perfect for the cardstock that I had left over. And so once again, I love the interactiveness of this card. And you can put your gift card in there, and I think a blue or Christmassy or snowy scene gift card would look really good tucked in there. Now this one I didn't decorate because of the front, but I will tell you I did go back and add a star to the front. So if you check my Instagram or Facebook, I'll add the pictures there so you can see how I did decorate that one up. So here are all the cards. I'm not sure if I'm showing them in the order that we created them, but I just wanted to go back through them all again. Also, just keep in mind, if I went really fast in this video, you can always pause and rewind and come back and watch, and just slowly watch it to create your cards if you want to follow along with me. I really love how all of these turned out. This paper makes it gorgeous, but I love how interactive all of the cards are. They're each unique, and so I'm excited because I have 5 gift cards completed, and I like to give gift cards like to my nieces and nephews because that's what they ask for. They like gift cards to different stores or restaurants, and so that's what I like to get them because they're older and it's hard to come up with something for them anyway. So I'm happy when they ask for a gift card. Well, here are all of the cards. We have 5 gift card holders completed. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that it's inspired you to create at least one of them. And I would love to hear in the comments which one is your favorite or which one that you do create. And I'd love to see yours, so you can tag me on Instagram at Making Crafts Studio. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.